Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hi, Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope. So, straight off the bat, a big shout out to Queensland Police Service and the Triple C for monitoring my YouTube channel. Thanks very much. Jen, I hope you're enjoying the show. Anyway, I've got a few things to talk about regarding QPS and Queensland Police Service and the Victorian Police. We're currently, it looks like, bringing in quite a few more police from Victoria, but Victoria's got a few issues going on. They are struggling, struggling to hold on to police, to experienced police officers. They've got they're suffering from burnout. They are arguing with the government about their pay. There's a massive pay dispute there at the moment. I'm going to bring up a couple of articles and then how this all affects QPS. Thus, you and I, the Queenslanders. So the first article, well, actually, I know I'll go to another one here. Very recent. Victorian government are investigating alleged assault by Melbourne train officers. So obviously, they as we've done here in Queensland, they've created this new unit that go around and kind of deal with issues more like on the public transport and that kind of thing, and hang around in the city and check out. Well, in Brisbane, I noticed they check out the shopping centres and this kind of thing. So let's check out this one here. So, a government investigation has been launched into allegations that a woman was assaulted by authorised officers at a Melbourne train station. A passenger claimed through social media posts she was detained and assaulted by officers on January 14 at Middle Footscray Station, requiring hospitalisation following the incident. Authorised officers are employed by public transport operators to check tickets, provide passenger information, improve safety, and help during special events and disruptions. They receive ongoing training and are authorised by the Victorian government. Government Minister Steve Dimopoulos, possibly Greek, I'd say, Dimopoulos, defended the training of authorised officers and said the government would await for the findings of the review. He says officers are well trained. I doubt that. They go through a rigorous training process. I doubt that too. And they have a code of conduct. Well, that prevents everything, code of conduct. There's always two sides to a story, though, so we just need to wait for the investigation. Public Transport User Association spokesperson Daniel Bowen welcomed the review into the alleged use of excessive force. It is good that they're going to investigate, and obviously they'll have CCTV on the train and on the station that hopefully shows clearly what happened. So this is all happening in Victoria. This is why it's pretty much of interest. So this other article that comes up, Victoria Police struggling to retain burnt out experienced officers despite active recruitment. So you've got this happening. So police numbers dropped by 157 in 12 months, despite 1,000 recruits graduating from the Forces Academy. Interesting fact. I was told that in January, QPS, Queensland Police Service, they had quite a large number of police who were exiting the Queensland Police Service all in one hit. A very large amount at the in January here. Now it might just be a bit of an overlap going over that Christmas period for December as well, but they go and spread off about how they've got 80 people coming out the academy, which is all pointless when in 1 month you have 50% of that leaving. So it's a bit hard to get your numbers up when you've consistently got double figures leaving every week anyway. But anyway, getting back to Victoria. So new figures show the Victoria Police headcount as at December 31 last year was 16,210 compared to 16,367 a year earlier. The number of departures is a major factor in the inability to fill a high rate of vacancies, which stood at 1,086 3 months ago. Members resigning or retiring at high levels has been a concern for the force for some time. Obviously, this is also going on in New South Wales and Queensland at the moment. And Queensland are recruiting, as are other states at the moment. But Queensland are very heavily recruiting from overseas, and they're heavily recruiting from other states at the moment, which is what I, which is what I want to talk about. I'll bring it up here.
Queensland Police has been poaching officers from Victoria. The Herald Sun reports cash bonuses of up to $20,000 and other incentives are being offered to recruits who move north. Data from the Queensland Police Service indicates...
Fancy that. Cash bonuses. Cash bonuses of 20,000. Now, let's just cast our mind back. You know, when all the mandates came in, QPS lost a ton of officers purely because they insisted on the mandate. And remember, we had that numpty Mark Ryan, who was the police minister then. He's still in Parliament, by the way. Anyway, numpty stood up and said, well, you know, if we lose too many operators on the ground, we'll just recruit new ones because it's that easy. And it failed miserably for him and Katarina. Fortunately for him, because he was voted in and all that, he was left in his position as police minister for all that time period. Katarina was fairly unceremoniously booted. She didn't even get to finish her contract, her 600,000 plus a year contract. 600,000 anyway, to fail every year, but we'll still continue to give you 600,000. She didn't meet any of the criteria, like any of the agendas that she put forward. I don't think any of them were met. But, you know, Mark Ryan, he stayed in his position all that time. He said, hey, you know, we'll just recruit new ones. It obviously wasn't as easy as that. So now we've gone to just poaching officers from overseas. And instead of maybe trying to get officers back who were just, you know, disenchanted, disenfranchised, and unceremoniously booted out of the QPS system, instead of maybe admitting that, you know, you made the mistake, maybe you're a bit heavy-handed in your approach, no, we'll offer experienced officers from Victoria, 20,000. 20,000. Because, you know, we could never apologise to officers that were already in the system that we screwed over. Anyway, continue. I'm not bitter.
People from Victoria are towards the top of the list of those choosing to relocate. The advertising campaign takes place as vacancy numbers within the workforce increase.
I think people have seen the message interstate that there's a new government in Queensland and we do support the police. We are...
Obviously, Daniel Purdy, he's the new Queensland Police Minister.
Tough on crime. We're going to give police the tough laws they need and the resources they need. So I hope, whether you're in Victoria as a police officer, if you're a police officer from New South Wales or anywhere around the country, or even New Zealand, if you're holidaying in Queensland today, please stay. Please put your application in.
Okay, so the next story, before we get on to what else I want to say. So obviously, QPS are pushing for interstate police. You heard the new ministers there saying interstate police from New Zealand, hey, come to Queensland. They're putting a lot of money forward for all this towards QPS. There was also the announcement just the other day they're putting a heap of money in to expand the flying squad in Queensland Police Service. Obviously, and they're spouting this as, you know, fighting crime. I personally think it's just reactionary. It's reactive policing. There's nothing there to prevent, not that I can see. Don't get me wrong, I welcome the money that they're spending, and I think it's quite a good thing, but it's still just reactionary. There's nothing there that's preventative. They're putting money into QPS that they should have put in anyway. And then they're putting their hand up and saying, oh, look at us, look at all the great work we're doing. Well, it should have been there. All these officers should have been in there, should have been supported like this. So, you know, don't take your hat off and pat yourself on the back too quickly. Anyway, let's get to this story. So keep in mind, QPS are pushing for all these Victorian police. What's happening in Victoria at the moment? This article, came out. January 14, Victoria Police investigate 683 staff over alleged rape, child sex, and family violence. Just awesome. Just awesome. Great to know. Victorian Police have investigated 683 of its own employees in the past 5 years over alleged sexual and family violence offences. Those staff, both sworn and unsworn, were under investigation for rape, child sex offences, sexual harassment, predatory behaviour, and family violence from Jan 1, 2019 to June 30, 2024, according to figures first obtained by the Herald Sun. The most cases were for sexual offences at 185 over 5 years, followed by sexual harassment with 169 cases. What the heck? The behaviour is alleged to have occurred both on and off duty. Victoria Police confirmed the figures to Nine News, adding that the vast majority of its 22,000 employees do the right thing. Well, it's vast majority, but it's still a lot of numbers. But no one in Victoria Police is above the law, a spokesperson said. You love it when government officials start sprouting off. No one is above the law. Anyway, let's listen to this briefly.
Have staged a pay protest during a government media conference using the force's helicopter to disrupt proceedings.
Yeah, so as I said before, Victoria Police are in this big pay dispute. Anyway, and then he goes on to talk about these other issues.
As Penelope Leish tells us, the Deputy Premier's staff tried their best to dodge the angry officers.
Hovering in the skies above Werribee, the police air wing drowns out the Deputy Premier.
Welcome everyone to Wallaby Childcare.
Nine News understands it costs up to $15,000 an hour to operate the police helicopter, which was already airborne for another incident.
Don't you love that? $15,000 an hour. This is the kind of police that you want, that we should be bringing over to Queensland. Police that completely disregard the cost to the public and go and do it so that they can get a pay rise. Like I said, this is what police in general, police hierarchy in general do. They look at they go down in through the minutiae and they do things like, hey, let's make mandates and let's fire people who won't obey the mandates because they've got an ethical or moral issue with what we want. But then they'll overlook people. They'll overlook issues where people are blatantly just wasting public money or doing things like I was talking to an officer or ex-officer, got in trouble for the mandates. Someone else within his station was charged twice with computer hacking because he was looking up, using the police computer system to look up data which he shouldn't have been looking up, still on the job, lauded by his OIC, and yet he completely wiped by his OIC and all the rest of the staff because he didn't want to partake in the mandates. But this is the issue with Queensland policing or policing in general that I see in Australia. We have complete double standards. Anyway, keep going.
I'm probably searching for a fair pay rise, to be quite honest.
But I can only give them what I'm funded to give them.
A show of force on the ground too, as officers made sure the Deputy Premier was paying attention.
Pleasingly, the matter is back now at Fair Work for Conciliation.
It comes as new figures revealed 3% of the Victoria Police workforce has been investigated over family and sexual violence offences in the past 5 years. That's 680 employees, the majority uniformed officers, investigated by a unit set up specifically to
So this unit specifically to investigate them, I don't think it's, we've got the CCC, the Crime Corruption Commission in Queensland. I don't think this is the same type of unit as they go on to explain that they have in Victoria. That's still, and like I said, it's a lot of police numbers, even though they do have 22,000. It's still quite a high number, I think, in the 600s, and a majority of them are uniformed. So
investigate police. The allegations include predatory behaviour on the job, like that of former officer Brett Johnson, who was sentenced in 2023 for using his position to target 9 women.
Is there anything you'd like to say to your victims?
Anything more than one is high, but when you say you've got, between 130 or 140 employees you're investigating on a yearly basis, yes, that's a significant concern.
That's a lot.
While Victoria was the first state to introduce a dedicated workforce force to investigate these kind of offences. What the numbers don't include is incidents involving police investigated by local branches. Advocates say it is time for a completely independent unit.
Let's go back to what she just said.
Police investigate. What the numbers don't include is incidents involving police investigated by local branches.
So those numbers don't include incidences where they've been investigated by local branches, which is very important. Like, I want to get back to what's happening with Queensland.
Advocates say it is time for a completely independent unit.
We know that a lot of people have to take matters into their own hands and go unsupported because they don't trust.
So well over, close to 700 is what they're investigating. They've been investigating over the last couple of years now of Victorian staff members, uniform and non-uniform, for some fairly serious accusations. The concerning thing is they don't even know how many of those were maybe investigated by local branches. They've got no idea what's happening there. So you've got all these officers potentially who are guilty of very serious crimes, and yet where is QPS, Queensland Police Service? Where are they heavily targeting? The Victorian Police. So how do we know what the caliber of officers are that we're going to get? Some predator that is in Victoria who's who's been investigated and then they can't prove anything, or maybe he's been investigated by local branches and who knows, was it investigated properly? Was it one of those investigations like what happened in Queensland just recently where, they screwed everything up and then said, oh, wait up, we have to drop the case anyway? Was it one of those investigations? So then nothing's been documented, nothing's been handed over to any other agencies. QPS has no idea, or maybe they do have an idea of what they're getting because their HR aren't that bright, let's be honest. And they're going to bring them into into Queensland. Victorian police who are under investigation. That is the potential that we have here in Queensland. Queensland police have way too focused on attacking their own police, not supporting the police members that they have, and way too focused on getting other officers. Are they doing the due diligence that is required to know that we are getting the right caliber of officer that is needed in this state? Or are we just going to get someone else's problems? Because that's where I think we're heading. I think we're just going to get someone else's problems. Just like, now some might say this is, anyway, just like when I go and I see like Queensland's version of the transport police, and I look and I notice that quite a large number of them seem to be foreign born, which is the issue I have with that is, do you know exactly what you're getting, the caliber of officer, the caliber of person that you're getting? I think it raises too many questions, but I don't think you can expect any more from QPS because I just don't think they're able to make wise decisions, to be honest, especially when it comes to recruiting. They're too arrogant to admit when they've made a mistake, and heaven forbid they would try and attract the officers that they pushed away. Heaven forbid they would actually try and bring them back into the fold. No, they'd rather just get other states' problems. Anyway, obviously there's a lot of issues with Queensland, with police forces around the nation. This is just one of them. This is all just my opinion. My name's Jay Fallon. A big shout out to everyone at QPS monitoring. I'm Jay Fallon. Please like and share because everything's getting shadow banned for me these days. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope.
They just fuel the desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's gonna